The Angry Chicken is a production of Amove TV. Bookmark amove.tv for more gaming and esports shows. The Angry Chicken is directly supported by listeners like you via patreon.com/TAC.
Everyone, get in here! Ready for action! I've got the beast in my sight.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is The Angry Chicken.
Welcome back, everybody. This is The Angry Chicken. I'm Garrett Weinzierl. I'm joined, as always, by Willie Dills Gregory and Jocelyn Moffat. And guys, are you aware of what is befalling the calendar? Not this Sunday, but the following one on October 15th.
October 15th.
The Ides of October? Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I must have done this last year because this is not something I usually call out, but I guess I put in a reminder last year of the anniversary of when we started the show. And October 15th is the 4-year anniversary of The Angry Chicken.
Wow. Really?
That's insane.
Yeah. 4 years of TAC. That's
crazy. We started the show in October, which means like BlizzCon, the first year, like BlizzCon just happened 2 weeks after we did the show.
Yeah, it was episode like 3 or 4, and I wasn't on it because that was the BlizzCon I didn't go to.
And Jocelyn wasn't there, and me and Garrett were like, yeah, we got this show. We've got like 3 episodes. Anybody want to, come on it or something? We didn't know what we were trying to hype when we were at BlizzCon. We were just like, yeah, it's the show, Angry Chicken.
Yeah, it was actually episode 5, and I think Brode was on episode 4. I think he was either on 4 or 3. He was on one of our pre-BlizzCon episodes.
Yeah,
we had just started the damn show, and we did episode 5 at BlizzCon. Joss wasn't there. Scott Johnson joined us. We recorded it in the guild hall like we usually do at BlizzCon. But this one, we didn't even have a dedicated table. It was just one of the normal Hilton round tables that we had thrown some microphones onto. Yeah. Or it was probably Todd.
I remember pictures
Todd
of that.
Threw some microphones
I say
onto
yep
it.
like I was there.
Yeah, if you go look up episode 5, I think that's the image for it, because there's no video version of it. That's I think the only episode of The Angry Chicken that does not have a video recording of it somewhere out there that you can find.
Sure. And weirdly enough, I thought Taunt was really good back then. Taunt's good now. Eye for an Eye was Jocelyn's favorite card. That's somehow in the meta again, kind of.
Yep.
All the things that I thought I was stupid for thinking about 2 years into the show are now like, oh no, actually, we weren't that far off.
Nope.
We were just way ahead of our time. That's
exactly
what I keep saying.
Yes.
There was a whole time where they were talking about in the Trinity series this past week, where they were talking about, well, since Eye for an Eye is a card, they have to be very careful, and this is the strategy around Eye for an Eye. And I was like, I am living in a glorious time.
And I called the future by saying, wouldn't it be cool if we had competitive, limited Hearthstone? Oh, wait, that's still not a thing.
Yeah, well, 4 years later, still looking for that.
But I did call the future by saying we really need a tournament mode. Nope, still not a thing.
Nope, yeah.
I guess spectator mode, we did get that, and it hasn't been tweaked since. Even so,
but we got it. That
is still in version 1.0 right now.
Yeah, yeah, upside down cards and all. But yeah, it's been quite it's not even here yet. So we'll do this again in 2 weeks. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
But my phone bleeped right before the show, and for whatever reason, it's like TAC anniversary X amount of days from now, and I'm like, I don't remember setting this up, but go me. We're also 4 weeks and change away from BlizzCon, which, guys, is this what it's like to get old? I'm the youngest one on the show. Not that there's a massive age difference between the 3 of us, but this year seems like more than any other to have just been like, poof, gone, BlizzCon's back. I feel like I just paid off my credit card from the last one.
No, I feel exactly the same. I feel like we're like, oh man, flying back to California already? Okay. It does, and maybe it's because this year had a Nerdtacular thrown in the middle there that now I've done twice as much traveling to the States. Although I guess last year had CreateCon. I don't know. But yeah, you're right. It seems like it just flew by.
Yeah, it's right around the damn corner. Any hopes and dreams for it before we talk about the actual schedule at the top of news? Like, is one thing you're kind of hoping they announce?
Well, see, the thing about Hearthstone is their BlizzCon is pretty much always the same. So I'm not really like, there's stuff I could hope for, I guess, but realistically I know what they're gonna say.
Well, I mean, we know that they're pretty much like the next expansion is like done, right? And not like done, but I mean, like, they know what it is. They know.
Oh yeah,
they're pretty deep into development on it.
Yep.
It's possible we get something on that, but it's still a ways away from actual release. So it's also possible that they just ignore that completely and just talk about other stuff. I feel like social features and things like fireside gatherings and things might be a little bit more of a focus for them, talking about that kind of the future there, because I know there is some work being done behind the scenes that we're still not up on, and of course there's a lot of stuff that has happened that maybe hasn't been taken advantage of yet, and then probably something that we don't know about and we're not going to be able to predict. Hopefully, anyway. Hopefully it's not just like, yeah, there's no tournament, there's no whatever. Like, Hearthstone's still going. Like, I hope it's not like that, because they could come out and just talk about all the cool stuff they did this year. But I think we're going to get something, because, again, yeah, it's like BlizzCon, the tournament isn't happening. So Hearthstone's going to be very underrepresented if they don't actually have a big announcement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really just want to be surprised. Like, at the end of the day, I hope I'm surprised. And I don't mean be surprised by the theme of the expansion. I want to be surprised by something other than an expansion. And
that's what I was going to say, because they're like, Kazakus was definitely a surprising announcement, because that was crazy, making your own spells. That was nuts. Like, no one ever thought that they would do stuff like that. But I don't want to be surprised like that. I want to be surprised and thrown off by them being up on stage and being like, we're finally revamping spectator mode or doing tournament mode, or, like, I want them to, like, smack me in the face with something awesome that isn't just the expansion.
Yeah. Like, hey guys, October Brawl, it's a thing you can play in-game now. Introducing Hearthstone Seasons, and not the seasons that you thought. It's more like Diablo Seasons, but it's gamified and you actually want to do it. That would be cool. Something of that nature. Just anything like that. Because, like, I don't remember, like last year, like, yeah, I was surprised for Gadget Zan, but that's because no one could have guessed that. There was no way to guess that. Even with the hints they were dropping, there's no way to guess that you were getting something like Kazakus. We were getting tri-class cards, any of that kind of stuff. Like, yes, it's surprising, but not the kind of surprise. That's not what I'm talking about here. Yeah. We know there's a third expansion coming for this year, because you told us there's a third expansion coming.
And we expect new crazy things now because of the way the last few card releases have gone, right?
Yes.
At least let us put a pack in our deck. Like, we got heroes that turn into Death Knights. Like, you totally transform. Each class gets to transform themselves into something else. Like, that's super cool.
Yep.
But also kind of crazy. So, like, I feel bad saying this, because I do want them to keep doing crazy things, but it's like, now that they've set the bar for crazy, then, like, that stuff isn't surprising anymore when it happens.
Yeah.
It's the expectation now.
Yeah, we're ungrateful. It's basically what it is. But no, yeah. I'm hoping for, like, a different way to play or some social features. And a little bit of that is in the news this week, so I guess let's just move on to it. This week's Hearthstone news.
Good news, everyone!
Hey guys, so it's just a little bit past 4 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday, which means minutes ago the BlizzCon schedule went up. So haven't really had a lot of time to sit here and comb over this and try and find hidden secrets and whatnot. But as far as Hearthstone is concerned, there are only 2 official Hearthstone panels. One on Friday, November 3rd, pretty early on, which is to be expected. They're going to have the opening ceremony, and at the opening ceremony, they always kind of like rapid fire announce all of the things, and then throughout that day, there's an individual panel for each individual major tentpole IP announcement. And Hearthstone's is going to be at 1:45 local time to the conference that Friday, November 3rd. And all it says is that they're going to delve deeper into how the Year of the Mammoth will come to a close. So I would assume we're finding out what the final expansion is.
I think they confirmed on Twitter that we're getting the expansion.
Yeah, Hearthstone just tweeted out that it's gonna be announced at BlizzCon.
Gotcha.
The final expansion of the Year of the Mammoth.
Yeah. Which we expect to release in December, right?
It would be supposed to be 4 months, right? So yeah.
That makes sense. Just in time for Christmas.
Yep.
Oh man, Frozen Throne would have been a good theme. It's around Christmas time.
Do we have any ideas yet? Like, have you guys figured out the kind of bag of coins clue?
The Gadgetzan 2, Revenge of the Bank Vault.
If it's a bag of coins, then it feels like goblin-y things, but we already had goblins versus gnomes, so I don't know.
Yep. We already had the kind of bank, like, mobster expansion.
Yeah, I mean, Gadgetzan was that very much, right? So
maybe it's finally, I say finally, but that's, like we did get patches, so pirates have been a thing for a long time now. But maybe it's finally like the pirates versus ninja expansion that people have been asking for since the beginning of Hearthstone expansions. When we had goblins versus gnomes, everyone was like, pirates versus ninjas. Maybe they finally got around to that.
Or maybe they're just messing with us, and it has nothing to do with the expansion.
Yeah, in the interview, though, Brode said, like, we literally, revealed what it is if people can figure it out.
Yeah.
With that icon. So, I don't know. Nobody's actually come up with a real, as far as I've seen, I've read a bunch of Reddit threads, and nobody's really got a solid, because it always seems like the Reddit community has at least some sort of idea, right? Some guy has come up with something. He's delved deep into the recesses of WoW lore, and he's found something. Nobody really has come forth with anything that sounds kind of viable right now, so I still don't know.
Yeah, the bag of gold is just, it's not a very big clue. Like, I mean, the swirly blue stuff that kind of looked icy for the summer expansion, I mean, that was very much like everyone had narrowed it down to at least Northrend. Some were saying Nexus, some were saying, Kirin Tor, some were saying Lich King, but they were very, very close. But a bag of gold, like, maybe an auction.
Yeah. Was it an auction house expansion?
Yeah.
Like, is it like Beardo or just the Gadgetzan auctioneer is going to be the mascot for the expansion? I'm not sure. It's just so, I guess, generic, and I don't mean that to sound like a bad thing, because who knows? I'm sure
it's very
knowing
vague.
that it won't be.
It's not like a smack
vague.
you in the face clue.
Yeah, vague's a better choice of words, but I'm not sure. And really, Gadgetzan is throwing me off. Having had Gadgetzan not that far back already, I don't know if it's another goblin themed expansion though, man. I'm rioting.
That would be weird. That would be weird. They could go down like a piratey path, and it could be it'd be kind of interesting.
Booty Bay. Booty Bay.
Yeah, Booty Bay. Yeah.
I'm granted also run by goblins.
That is, like the pirate. You could even go down like a path of the Van Cleefs versus Stormwind type of thing, so like the Defias Brotherhood could be very prominent, and there could be there could be all sorts of stuff going on.
Yeah, that could be a thing.
I'd be really into that.
It'd be fun. Booty Bay is a super fun place, right? I mean, every Horde player remembers going over there and just killing everything, right? Like we all did that at some point, right?
I love me some Booty Bay, and that's the one time that I would not complain about goblins in that regard, because Booty Bay's pretty goblin heavy. They have a giant goblin statue.
Sure,
but I'm a big fan of that area. But I would also
it's not exclusive goblin though. There's every race is very prominently represented there. Like I can remember Tauren and Trolls specifically being there's lots of them down there.
Yeah.
I would love to see a troll heavy expansion. I don't know. I don't think trolls, go with a bag of gold at all, but, troll heavy expansion would be super cool.
It also kind of makes sense to introduce a whole bunch of pirates after Galactic Crawler became a thing in the game. And, so, I mean, you've got, what is it? The Blackwater Raiders. Is that what they're called?
This is I think it's the Bilgewater.
It's something like that.
There's the Steamweedle Cartel.
Yeah.
There's also a Bilgewater Cartel.
I'm looking this up because now I have to remember this stuff.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, lots of goblins, taurens, and trolls there as well. No, yeah, Blackwater Raiders. Steam Weedle Cartel and Blackwater Raiders are the main
Testosterone
affiliations.
in the chat room is saying that to them it looks like it's literally a cut purse. So Defias expansion. I
would love that.
I would too, because Defias means not only Stormwind locales but Westfall locales, and if we're going to Westfall, more chickens. Illuminati confirmed.
Okay, now I remember. Okay, so the Bloodsail Buccaneers were threatening the city with the Blackwater Raiders, and Baron Revelgaz was like trying to like fight them back or whatever. Yeah, and you went around killing all those pirates who were like planning things out. You remember they were all around like that campfire.
Yeah, you had to like
kill all those
infiltrate it
guys
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and swim up to all the boats and stuff and like kill all those guys inside there. Yeah, that was actually
also eventually you could like become friendly with them, right? Like you could grind rep with them.
If you built up you could actually build up enough of the bad guy rep or whatever.
Yeah.
But then if you entered Booty Bay, the guards would attack you.
Yeah.
And that's how you earn the pirate hat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I started to do on my hunter and never completed, but I loved the idea of it.
It's a grind. I remember I started to do that too, and I was like, nah, never mind.
Anywhere where you have to grind from hated is it's so bad. Like when you start at friendly, rep grinds are kind of like but when you start all the way down at hated and you have to gain like 36,000 just to get a friendly or something, it's like
Was this one of the reps you had to get for the insane achievement? Because I think I remember a few people having to do that over and over and over again, and they were like trying to get people to come help them and stuff. I was like, it's fine.
Oh man, Kachi Kuma says, what if it's related to gold mines, of which there are many in Warcraft? What if it's just a peon expansion? It's like the more work, like versus the orc peons. That would be lovely. I'd be very into that.
So yeah, as we mentioned, no one on Reddit knows. Clearly, we don't know either. We've now been like all over the world of Warcraft. So bag of golds could be everything and nothing, and I don't even know.
I dig. I like it.
But if that's the surprise, I'm gonna be sad.
Yeah, we know that that's coming. No, wow us with something. Wow us is like, oh, by the way, tournament mode. I'm sorry, what was that? Oh, yeah, here it is. Click, and then there's a freaking cinematic and some announcements and some Excel like slides with bullet points. Be lovely.
Some Excel slides.
they do the slideshows every year. I don't know if they actually use Excel or PowerPoint.
We'll know right away if Ben Brode comes out with a pirate hat on, right? That's gonna be like the new
Do you think that they whatever the last expansion is of the year, that they shoot it down if there is not a hat that could be synced up with it?
This expansion doesn't have enough hats. Moving on.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be wonderful. There's also a live Q&A the second day for Hearthstone, where I'm sure they will be answering questions about what they announced on the first day.
Yeah, and I remember sitting through the Q&A last year, and people were pretty pointed in their questions. I feel like if all we get is an expansion announcement, that is not going to be a fun Q&A to either be on the panel or to attend. People, I think, are going to be pretty riled.
all the games definitely, I think, get their fair share of blunt
criticisms
at BlizzCon. Yeah, so
I feel like the Hearthstone community is just really at the boiling point, and because I could see it last year. Last year we had questions about like why there was no tournament mode, what they were working on, why the ladder system hadn't changed, and none of that has resolved itself, and we're a year later now. So
yeah, no, I mean,
I can see it being an unfun experience.
I think that's fair. I think the ladder especially is fair because they've been talking for over a year now. How about that? They see issues with the ladder system. They're working on improvements, but they have nothing to announce yet.
And we've got little quick fixes here and there, but nothing really concrete.
Right. So, anyway, I don't know. I'm still looking forward to BlizzCon. I'm just I'm just a spoiled Hearthstone player that knows what to expect. Yeah. Yeah. Kind of branching out a little bit from Hearthstone specifically. MMO Champion has data mined what appears to be upcoming features for the BattleNet client. They look like group and social features. So we're not getting clans or guilds for games like Hearthstone and Heroes, which many of us have been requesting for ever. It does look like this might address some of those requests, but through the Battle.net app itself and not through the game specifically.
It's not the app though, right? It's the client, which is still the thing that you run on your computer. Because that's the other thing. They came out with the new social Battle.net app for your phone, which is different than the Battle.net client.
Right.
Like it all kind of works together, but what they're talking about, I think, about group features is the still running on your PC, the client.
Right, but I wouldn't be surprised if they tied that into the social app.
Yeah.
If these are social features, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But
it's just all very confusing. I don't know why they don't call it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, this specifically is data mined, so it's not like it's an official release that's meant to be clear and concise. But
I meant Blizzard with their naming: Battle.net client versus Battle.net app. That's not confusing.
I actually didn't even know there was an app until you just said it. So there you go. When I say app, I just mean an application on whatever happens to be running it. But through what they data mine, it looks like you're going to be able to create groups and channels to organize your chats. They will have roles and permissions. I know this isn't a Hero show, but thank God, because the A-Move chat in Heroes gets trolls every now and then that I have no recourse over. And there's been data mined like at least 100 avatars that you can now assign to the client. So like your overall Battle.net account, there is a chicken. And I love the way it looks, so I will be using that. But yeah, and then also it looks like there's some preset groups that Blizzard has kind of created themselves that'll just be there whenever this launches. And there is on the schedule a panel called Blizzard Social What's Next, so I would not be surprised if this is what they're going to announce there, and if it's already being data mined. Be kind of cool if it was one of those things like, hey, here it is. By the way, it's live. Flip the switch.
Yeah, which is probably what's going to happen. Yeah.
They can't be that far away from it, honestly, because the voice chat works pretty well. All that kind of stuff is situated. So really just adding in some ability to do some group chatting and things like that. It's basically like putting Discord into your Blizzard app, right?
I was just going to say that. Yeah, roles and permissions and avatars and voice chat is very much like Blizzard's version of Discord or Slack or, whatever your communication platform of choice is.
So I look forward to many conversations where everyone's like, I want to use Discord. I want to use Blizzard app. I want to use this. I want to use that. And then we go, all right.
Well, what about Mumble?
If anybody says, hey, we're in TeamSpeak, my reaction is literally, well, then I guess I'm not talking to you. Because there's too many damn things now. And TeamSpeak is old.
Too many things. I was just talking about this to Jury. Like, I'm getting fatigue on, like, the places to get messaged where it's like everyone's like, you don't respond to me. And I'm like, I don't check all the places, man. I'm sorry.
The other one is, do you have a Snapchat? And I'm just like, no. And I never will. But I still find it very kind that you have any interest in following me there.
Now here's the thing, though. If they're doing this on the Blizzard app, then my request is please remove the friend cap, because if I were to move from all these other places to this, I will need to be able to. Like right now, it is just the most annoying thing. Anytime I start a new season of the Dills Hearthstone League, or if I join some tournament, or somebody in chat is like, hey, I got the 80 gold quest, and I got to go through and delete somebody to add somebody else, it is just it's annoying as hell. And there's no real reason for it.
Unless these social features are going to somehow allow you to group with or challenge, in the case of Hearthstone, people who aren't on your friends list. Like if you can belong to a group and just have access to challenge them to the game, then that would alleviate all of that, right? Then I could go through, call my friends list and be like, okay, I don't actually need these 200 people. What I need are, the 50 people I want to talk to all the time and play with all the time. And then I can just group with anyone who happens to be in like the A-Move group or the TAC group or, whatever the case may be. And then that frees up your friends list, and then the cap doesn't matter anymore.
That's absolutely true. If I could just start like a one-on-one chat with that person and then like right-click their name and challenge them or something, or even if like the challenge, if there was like a challenge thing where I could hit challenge and then type in their BattleNet.
Yeah.
And then be like, cool, one-time thing here. Like, I don't have to add you forever. That would be fine, too. There's lots of different solutions that work, but in the end, too, I still think they should up that cap. I think the cap is too low. With 5 games or whatever, 6 games, that's too low. Especially if Destiny's coming in using the same damn thing, so...
Yep.
Oh, the Destiny friends list is through.
Well, it's all on the client, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
Well, it will be for the PC version, yes.
Yeah.
Also, there's Destiny avatars in this thing, so you're gonna get in the BattleNet and see like non-Blizzard characters on your friends list, which I think is fine. I really like Destiny. I know you don't, Jocelyn, but it's okay. We can still be friends despite your error.
Differences.
No, just your error.
Oh,
it's an error.
I see.
It looks very cool. I've been hesitant to start playing it though because of some things that I've heard.
But there's you can be a hunter, Dills. You can be a hunter.
I mean, that sounds fantastic.
And you get a cape.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love shooting at things from far away, but it's the stuff about like the microtransactions that actually like help your character and stuff that have been making me a little hesitant.
It's absurd. I'm playing on Xbox right now. You make so much in-game currency, it's irrelevant.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
If that's the case, and if it's just like a catch-up mechanic,
unless you really, really, really care about having 1 billion shaders to paint your armor.
Okay.
That's the most important feature. Duh.
Listen, Joss, you're not playing. I'm selling Dills right now, and I know he probably doesn't care about that.
Yeah. I don't care about that. I would care if there was like, hey, for $100 you have the best gun in the game. That would give me.
No, you get mods which are minute little stat boosts, and you can also buy them for in-game currency, which you are constantly capped at if you play a little. People
were making a lot of stink about it, so I was like not quite sure about the game at that point. But if that's if you're in there and you're giving me that, all right.
Cool. I hope
game, guys.
I hope just because you're not interested.
Like, Garrett?
Let me tell you, I don't PvP. I go in there just to shoot things like it's Halo. Anyways, we took some questions off of Twitter earlier today because our inbox was a little light, except for crazy game stories. And no, we're not going to start reading more than one crazy game story because that would just become story time. And that would be the end of that. But one of the questions, which I moved up to this part because it seemed a little more relevant to this BattleNet discussion, was from listener Robert, who asked, what do you think of the new BattleNet app? Do you think it was necessary in the first place? What features do we hope that they add? And I think they've been kind of kicking ass with it. Dills, you already mentioned that the voice is good. And
yeah, it's very good.
I believe it was...
Well, this is the thing. The BattleNet app is specifically the one they made for your phone that basically just lets you text people on your friends list and see what they're playing.
So I don't know if that's what he's referencing or not, because I refer to the client as the app.
Yeah, no, that's the new BattleNet app.
Well, then I don't know because I don't use it. Because I have a Discord.
Because that's where I think the "do you think it was necessary" comment comes from, because it's like Dills was saying with the whole fatigue from all the different messaging things. Oh my god.
Yeah, but
like it was.
Well, it's not necessary, but I'm sure it's very good for certain people, right? Like there are a lot of communities built around WoW guilds, and it's like I use my phone with Slack to chat with personal patrons. I use the Discord to chat with patrons of the wrestling show, and it's like we have our own little area, and that is nice to have, right? So not necessary, but good. It's good for the communities that actually use that quite a bit, because we have AIE where it's just insanity, right? There's just so many goddamn people.
Well, that's kind of the thing. Really... So you can already chat with your guild through the Armory app, but that doesn't really help the AIE community because it's split into so many different guilds now because they put the cap. So yeah, you can basically talk to your sub guild, but not the guild as a whole.
But now you can create this is for FERT raid. This is for whatever.
As long as there's not a player cap.
So that's the thing. Right now, the app doesn't do that. It's just your friends list.
Well, then that's not good enough.
Yeah, if all these social features that were data mined in the client actually come to the phone app, then I agree. Then they've basically, again, given you a Blizzard-branded Discord.
I would be.
That's weird that they require everything to work the same in Hearthstone from your PC to your phone, but then with the client and the app, they're like, yeah, it could be totally different. I think they should probably try to get some uniformity there too.
Well, do we know that? Again, this is not an official announcement, so do we even know that? What can you do in the client that you can't do in the app, obviously, besides playing the games that you launch from the client?
Voice chat. I don't think there's any voice chat. Just let me...
I mean, why would you want to if you weren't playing games?
Yeah, what would the point of voice chat?
I guess it makes no sense. My point is that makes no sense in the first place to me. So I guess I don't consider it a missing feature because I don't know why you'd want to do that. Because it's if you're doing that, you're holding a phone and you could use that phone.
It shows my friends list in my very fingerprinty phone, and then it has all of my last little messages. So it saves your messages, which your message history, which it never used to do. And then it shows my profile. Woo! I can show it really quick because I don't want people to actually know what my battle tag is. But yeah, so it just has my battle tag, and then I can set online, away, or busy, and then it has my app settings, and that's it. That's the whole thing.
Well, one thing I could think of is if you are on a pretty crappy internet connection at your house, and you want to use all of that internet connection just for the gameplay, and then you want to use phone data for your voice chatting.
Yeah. You could do that.
Kind of separate those two things.
Assuming that you can voice chat. Hang on, let me find.
If voice chat is a thing.
Yeah.
I think he was speaking hypothetically.
Yeah, but I mean, that would be one possible use for having that a version on your phone.
Yeah.
To be honest though, when it comes to actual Hearthstone, this is gonna do very little. Hearthstone just needs. What I really feel is Hearthstone just needs to have a better version of chat in the game. A better way to, having channels and things like that would be fantastic. Having them not always, because, if you're on your phone, if you're in game, the client on the PC, chat is fine, right? It's totally fine. It's still a little awkward because there's weird things got to click the thing to show the whole, conversation. You can't click and copy and paste things and stuff like that. So it limits you a lot, sharing decks and stuff. Sharing decks, honestly, that should just be a thing where if I share a deck to you in the game, it should be so simple to go from someone shared it with me to now I'm playing it, right?
Yeah.
That should just be built in. But really, it's just that needs to be fixed more than anything about a separate app that's doing other things for you.
Yeah, I just went in and checked because Dills, you were online, so I sent you a message through the app to your PC
so
no
voice chat.
There's no voice chat.
Yeah.
So see, I could do that. I could send secret messages to Dills while he's talking and totally distract him. Hashtag worth.
Well, I don't think we don't need voice chat in the Hearthstone client. We just need better chat, right?
Yes.
When somebody actually tries to send me a message and I'm in the app, I generally just ignore it because I don't want to go through the process of I click it and then it covers the whole damn screen, and it's just really annoying to then I go back and then they message me again and I'm opening and it's covering the whole screen again. It's just the whole process is not doesn't feel intuitive. And it just feels like it's intrusive on the game I'm playing. I'm trying to play a game of Hearthstone. It already sucks because it's on my phone and everything's small. And now I'm trying to hold a conversation at the same time. It's not good. Yeah.
I was, again, not referencing the app because I didn't know it existed. And now that you've explained what it is, I don't care. So I'm excited for this because if it gives us at least one more way to funnel TAC listeners, or actually any way at all to funnel TAC listeners into an official Blizzard space to have a chat room, which is currently impossible in Hearthstone, that's a positive in my eye. Yeah. So
it's one of those things we've kind of been asking for since the game started, was some sort of social group, whatever you want to call it, chat room, guild, clan, tag.
Yeah, if we could have a TAC group like the A-Move group in Heroes, that'd be fantastic because people could challenge each other for their 80 gold quests and things like that. There'd be all sorts of, I'm just looking for someone to test decks with, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and listen, if it's just surface level on the client, if that's the semantics we need to use to specify, I'm talking about the desktop application of Battle.net, I still think that's fine. It doesn't work for phones and iPads, but it's something. It's a starting point. And Team 5 works pretty slow, guys. And I think the Battle.net desktop app crew has been really killing it lately. So cool.
They've been introducing a lot of new features for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. The voice is great on the desktop. I don't know. Yeah, it was Lich King when they made their very first attempt at built-in voice chat. in World of Warcraft. It was terrible. It was absolutely unusable. And now the one in the Battle.net app on the desktop, I find myself using more than anything else just because I'm playing Blizzard games. It's right here. It's built in. Why bother booting something else up? So I'm excited for this. Moving on, Mike Danae sat down with PC Gamer and talked about Frozen Throne's impact. This is actually a pretty sizable interview with him, but we just pulled out a couple of the takeaways that we wanted to discuss on this episode. Kind of speaking up for Frozen Throne overall, and this is of course post nerfs. He said that there's a lot of variance, or there was a lot of variance during the Frozen Throne meta, and that now after these nerfs, they're happy because all 9 classes are more or less viable in their eyes and doing pretty well, according to Danae. And they said, obviously, for them, that it's important that players feel comfortable playing their favorite classes and doing well with their favorite classes. Which
of course that's important, because if I want to go in and play Mage and Mage is terrible, then, I go in, try to play Hearthstone, can't do my favorite thing, so then I stop playing Hearthstone.
Well, yeah, but Mage is terrible because you can get 3 or 4 ice blocks.
Well, but you know what I mean. Like,
yes.
If whatever my favorite class happens to be isn't viable and I lose every time I log in, pretty quickly I'm going to stop playing Hearthstone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of people come into a new expansion with kind of a preconceived notion of what they want to be doing, and
if it doesn't work, then they just leave.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work, they lose interest. And then, and of course, there's also a lot of people who come in and they just try everything too. But the problem that we were having, there was so much negative feedback around Knights of the Frozen Throne just because it was just so frustrating to play against one class 40% of the time, right? Since the nerfs have happened, I feel the fun factor of this game has gone from 0 to 100 again, like really fast. And I was trying to, find the fun when in the first month of Knights of the Frozen Throne. I mean, you guys remember, like, every show I'm like, I'm playing Wild, I'm doing Arena, I'm going to play Tavern Brawl, I guess.
There's got to be fun here somewhere.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to make the damn game fun for me, and that's not where you ever want your game to be. Since the changes have happened, and I know a lot of people, I've had tons and tons of conversation with people in my chat during streams about Spreading Plague is still broken at 6 mana, blah, 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 blah.
I do still hate that card. I've got to agree with them.
No, I mean, it's still a very good card. But overall, what's happened, whether or not one card is still very good, what overall has happened is all of the classes suddenly feel represented. Like, I'm trying to think of what classes actually at the bottom now, and I hear different arguments from different people. Some people think Hunter is still, like, the worst, but I'm seeing lots of very decent Hunter
right
decks
now
out there that are getting good results, and Warlock is back. It's we're kind of at that space now where everything can be played.
Months. It was awful. Eye roll.
Yeah, no, I mean literally, Warrior and Hunter Warlock and Hunter didn't even exist, right? In Journey to Un'Goro. So the fact that both of those classes are back and now Druid has been brought back in line, it's still a tier 1 deck. The Jade Druid is still a tier 1 deck, but it's not. It's not its own
everyone's
tier,
playing it.
Right? Yeah. And that's fine. I'm okay with Druid still being very good. I'm just not okay with it being so far above everybody else. And that's the nerfs have exactly accomplished that.
Yeah, I think so as well. Speaking about Spreading Plague, Mike Danae said that internal testing, it seemed significantly weaker. He said, quote, on the latter, you see a higher representation of aggro, and Spreading Plague is very good against aggro. Whereas when they were playtesting it, they would play a wide variety of decks, control, mid-range combo, etc. And in that more diverse environment, Spreading Plague actually seemed a lot weaker. So that was probably part of the deal there.
Yeah.
Cue people raging. He just admitted saying that there's too much aggro on ladder. Oh my God, this game's dead.
Well, it's not really too much aggro on ladder. It's just because of the existing ladder system that they've created, that is the fastest way to make your way up the ladder. And that's not a problem with aggro. That's a problem with the way the ladder is built. The ladder is built in a way that you have to spam games, and the faster you can get those games done, the faster you're going to get up to legend. And then you can have, actual Hearthstone games.
As long as you have a positive win percentage.
Yes.
Yeah. But see, that's again, it doesn't even matter if this is actually true or not. What matters is it's the perception of that truth, right? That people feel like aggro is going to be the best way to do it. And it is true that, you know, if you look at the numbers, a lot of times the difference in game time isn't significant enough that you should sacrifice a better win rate for a slightly faster game time. But it doesn't matter. It just feels that way. Yeah. So more people are going to choose aggro.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's I don't know, everyone's different too, but I noticed when I made the switch to playing like aggro druid back before the nerfs hit, it just seemed to click better. It was easier to keep my head in the game because the games were short, and you just got, because most of the games never went past turn 7. You saw just about every scenario you were ever going to see in a very short amount of span of games because of how few turns the games took. So you learned the deck a lot faster.
Yeah, there's that too. Not that aggro is, you know, easy or anything else. There are still a lot of different iterations, but you're right. When those iterations take place over 4 or 5 turns, as opposed to, you know, 15 turns, you're going to learn those 4 or 5 turns a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's funny when you watch professional Hearthstone players, notice how often they rope on like turn 2 and 3. Whereas everybody might be sitting there going, "There's only one play." And what they're doing is they're sitting there considering all of the possible variations on how the game will play out, because those turns actually, in a sense, in a game like Hearthstone, almost matter more than, say, turn 7, 8, 9, 10, because, you know, you're using like each mana is just a huge percentage of possible mana that turn. So like leaving one on the floor is a really big deal. You know, the difference between getting one extra stat on the board is a huge deal. All that kind of stuff, and all those things have to be taken into consideration. And yeah, when you play aggro, that's where the game is played, right? The game is played within those first, you know, 5, 6 turns, and there is a lot of complication around those turns. And a lot of times when you get to 10 mana and both players at 10 mana, it's actually much easier to see the turn.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I have these big cards. I'm going to play these big cards. And that's pretty much it. It's like we were playing that rogue deck the other day, and there's times where turn 2 is insanely complicated because there's 5 different possible turns we can make.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy how Hearthstone has become that way, but you know, because it used to be you just kind of played on curve, and now there's just so many different weird little iterations
now
of what you
play
can do
on
in
curve,
the other turns.
you're basically like behind. Like if you play like a 3-drop on 3, it's like, well, I lose.
Well, no, but now you can both play on curve and still one person's way behind because they played inefficiently on curve, right?
Yeah.
It's it's the game has definitely progressed in a serious way, especially when it comes to aggro.
My favorite now is you both play on curve, but one of you got Keleseth out, so your one person's curve is way stronger.
This is another conversation we can have where I'm having a lot of fun playing that rogue deck, but that rogue deck feels, and at the same time the zoo deck we're going to talk about later, the prevalence of Keleseth and patches does make it kind of feel like you're a little bit playing a slot machine sometimes, and that is probably not the greatest direction for Hearthstone. Like, oh, he drew Keleseth, I didn't. Oh, he drew Keleseth, I drew patches. Like, there's no way I can win. You know, that kind of stuff feels bad. But another conversation probably for another time.
Yeah, I think so as well. There's a larger conversation there that we've already been having, I think, through emails over the last couple of weeks. It's like, where does it stop? When you nerf one thing, something else rises up. At what point do you draw the line?
This kind of card design is definitely something that I think should be watched, because especially when it happens at the beginning of the game, because like we just said, like that's when like the game can kind of snowball, right? Like, it seemed like Reno and stuff was a little bit more. Obviously, there was like rage moments around Reno, but you know, when it happens like turn 6 or turn 7, it's not as big of a swing as when it happens turn 1 or 2. So
yeah.
Especially when you shadow step it.
Shadow step it.
And,
I feel so like, especially when I get like coin double shadow step like Keleseth, I'm just like, okay.
I just removed shadow step from my Keleseth deck because I was sick of this like looking for this swing. And I was, I was just like, I just want to play this deck more linearly and just trying to get this like insane start where I just win. And that's what I'm looking for every game. No, I'd rather just play the game out.
That's the most insane reason to take something out of your deck.
Because the deck actually works a lot more consistently. Because I'm not trying to do something that's very rarely going to happen. I'm actually just going, oh, my deck now wins Keleseth or no. Like my deck is just really good
I'll have to try
all
that.
the way through. And I actually noticed if you look at the HS replay versions that are at the top of the win rate now, they've all taken out Shadow Step because it's like an all or nothing strategy, right?
I certainly have found other things to do with it, but I feel like I might be in a mental trap.
Yeah. Well, I also I have things like Shadowcaster in the deck now too, so you still have some of that ability to do those types of things. But now it's like my version is now running like Black Knight and Lich King and stuff, and I the other day I Shadowcaster to Keleseth and still kind of got that effect, but it wasn't. I didn't have to pull a minion back off the board to do it.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah. Hey, here's something that has a simple answer and no one will be divided on. Mike Dene, while talking about specific cards, said that Barnes, he thinks, causes big swings and high variance in an unfun way, but it will eventually rotate out. And the Hearthstone audience just took this as it is and had nothing to say about it. Oh, wait, no, it's the top thing on Reddit today. Everyone's losing their minds.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's okay to... He's right. Right now, Big Priest is the stupidest deck in the format, but it's not like it's super popular and you're constantly going up against it. But when you do, it's very frustrating when they high roll and get the Barnes into, the friggin' Obsidian statue, and then they res it on the next turn. You're like, okay, I lose. Yeah, that sucks.
But it does. But that being said, I mean, he's kind of right. Like, even I feel like rotating out with the word eventually is wrong. We have one more expansion. It took this long for Barnes to get, like, really unfun. And it's going to be gone at the start of the next standard year. So we got, a couple more months. Let Barnes have his day.
I think he's right.
Yeah.
I think he's right, too. I found it... I found it typical.
Well,
typical of the
be a bigger problem
Team 5 or typical of Reddit?
Both.
Well, yeah. This would be a bigger problem if Big Priest was being played at the rate that Druid was being played before.
Yeah.
But it is not even the most popular Priest deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's and in fact, it's a much worse version of Priest than what the most I would argue the most popular version of Priest is more of a problem because of how actually once they actually put that combo together, it's basically game over, right?
Well,
it's
he mentioned
GG
that.
At that point.
He mentioned that too. He said that Raza and Shadow Reaper Anduin were on the table for potential nerf targets.
Yeah, as they should be.
But they decided...
it's insanely strong, and it's going to be around for a while.
Yeah.
Right? Because I guess no, because Mean Streets will rotate at the same time, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so we got a few more months of that too. It's fine.
Yeah. I think
Priest
it's fine.
hasn't been. I mean, Dragon Priest was powerful and popular, but Priest was really down there in terms of just strength of the class for a really long time. So
yeah, I'm okay with it.
Guys, yeah, let Priest be good for a while.
Yep. Absolutely.
And it's a beatable. Like the thing is, it's a strategy that you can beat if you play against it properly. Like you have to. The way that they've built their decks at this point. They're basically just getting rid of all tech choices and all things that have to do with you, and they're just saying all I want to do is draw as many cards as I can, get to my win condition, and then I win. So there's a definite strategy against them, which is pressure the hell out of them. Don't let them sit there and just draw for days. You have to be applying pressure. And obviously, there's a problem with that too, where they have a lot of board wipes. But you can reasonably figure out, how to play around those. And I've had a lot of success against Priest, just changing my play style when I recognize what they're doing. Right. So I'm okay with the problem with Big Priest is you can't play around it.
Right.
They get Barnes on 4, and you're like, okay, I lose. And again, that would be a bigger problem if it was a more popular deck. But since it's not, it seems okay. But when I play against it, you're like, okay, well, they did their thing and they win.
Yeah,
but at least with this
I mean, when it when it high rolls, it's great. But when it low rolls, they're screwed. Which I think is it's the reason why the win rate isn't crazy, and it's the reason why people choose to play the Raza Shadow Reaper turns or decks instead of playing Big Priest, is because it's super swingy and it feels really bad when they just totally high roll you. But if they don't pull their Barnes or nothing dies, then they're screwed. So. I can see why it still hasn't been nerfed yet, and I think it's fine the way it is because it's so high rolly.
I agree. I don't think Danae is crazy here. And I think I don't think Reddit's crazy. Reddit's just doing what Reddit does, just being consistent. So anyways, before we move along the show into our strategy segment, we have a sponsor this episode that we need to thank. Awaytravel.com, or Away Luggage, as you may know them, is sponsoring this episode of The Angry Chicken. You can go to awaytravel.com/TAC right now to go and check out their offerings of different types of luggage, with very, very clever names like the Carry-On and the Bigger Carry-On, which both have internal batteries for charging, so you can keep playing Hearthstone or whatever game on your battery-powered device that you would like to keep playing. It doesn't have to be Hearthstone. They also include a TSA-approved combination lock, an interior pressure system, free shipping within the lower 48 states, a 100-day return policy, and a lifetime warranty. And on top of all of that, if you would like $20 off of your suitcase, just visit that link I mentioned previously, awaytravel.com/TAC. Joss, you have Away Luggage, and
I do.
BlizzCon is right around the corner. You already packing it, making sure you don't forget, like, I don't know, pants.
It's actually a problem. Okay, I usually pack like the night before, and then I'm just throwing all my stuff in, and I always forget something. It's either I forget my shirts or I forget my pants, one way or the other. I am lacking half my wardrobe. But no, I love my Away luggage. The carry-on is so great, specifically because BlizzCon is coming, and you guys know me in the gear store. I have issues with self-control. And with the little pressure system thingy, I can like shove all my gear in it because I love those plushies. The plushies can squish. So I just sit on it and it goes psh, and all of a sudden it's carry-on size again. I don't even understand.
Yep. I have watched entire Hearthstone panels at BlizzCon while waiting in a 2-hour line with Jocelyn and my wife Katie. Because merchandise, guys. Merchandise.
Gear store. Well, some of the whelps you can't get anywhere but BlizzCon, and I need all of them. So
yeah, you do, and you can keep them in a nice Away piece of luggage with a TSA approved combination lock, so they can't get to your dragon babies.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yes. Oh, I'm the mother of dragons. Whelps just got so much better.
All right, we thank them for their support. Go check them out. Again, awaytravel.com/TAC, promo code TAC for $20 off your next suitcase. All right, let's talk about the new zoo in this week's strategy segment.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay!
I always forget how happy the troll is in that particular little bumper. He's just so jazzed. Anyway, yeah, so we talked a little bit about Zoo last week, and then the three of us found ourselves playing a bit of it in between last week's episode and this week's episode, so we figured why not dig a bit deeper. And the point I would like to start off with is, if you're watching on video, I have a deck list up. It's from disguisedtoast.com. This is not carved in stone. I have seen so many variations of this new type of zoo in the last week on Ladder, and if you go check any of your favorite fan sites for deck lists, or you're an HS Replay shiller like all three of us have now become, you'll notice that there are a lot of different cards that you can omit and include in this type of archetype.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I'm looking at the deck list. I'm like, okay, Forbidden Ritual. I'm like, I know I don't have a Forbidden Ritual in my zoo deck.
Yeah.
But I can't for the life of me figure. Oh, I don't have Glacial Shards either. But I can't remember what. I can't remember what those replace though. Like I'm trying to think because I'm like, no,
the version
Soulfire's
I'm running,
there, Doomguard's there, like.
Yeah, the version I'm running has Vicious Fledgling in it as well.
Mine too.
Okay, I don't have that one.
Yep.
Yeah. Because that's still just a really, especially when you can, like, and Serenite Chain Gang is one of the cards.
That's what I have. I have two Serenite Chain Gang because of the Keleseth buff. Just makes it even better.
It's super good with the Keleseth buff. And also you can hide Vicious Fledgling behind them and, get those face shots in. But I think the real key cards here that are going to be in the deck are all the low-cost, the low-cost demons and stuff, the Voidwalkers and the Flame Imps, and the Doomguard, Despicable Dreadlord, and Blood Reaver Gul'dan. The rest of it, and Keleseth and Bone Bear. The rest of it is kind of the shell you can build around. I do like the inclusion in this one of the South Sea Captain because it is one of the best ways to get a Patches out. You get a charging 2/2, instead
or
of
3/3
charging
if
1/1.
you've already Keliseth.
Or if you've Keliseth, you get a charging 3/3. So it's a super cool inclusion that we've been seeing a lot of. The one problem with it is that there's so many Galaka crawlers running around right now that it's a really big swing when they Galaka crawler your South Sea captain.
It is, and I'm running the. Oh my god, I'm actually blanking on the darn 1-mana pirate that everyone runs at the moment.
The Bloodsail Corsair?
Yes, thank you, the Corsair. I'm running 2 of those, and it's just as risky.
Yeah, but it's not as huge of a swing when they Galaka crawler a 1-drop.
It's not, but
You know what I mean?
at the end of the day, it's the buff. It's the buff that drives me crazy.
It's the buff, yeah.
Because even without the Galaka, my South Sea doesn't tend to survive the turn that it's really just there for the buff on the patches. They typically can find a way to remove the captain, whether they're running Galaka or not. So for me, it's just as has been the narrative since Galaka Crawler was announced, the buff is driving me insane.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this deck and you notice that it's not even running the Corsairs. I really do like the Corsairs because it's a great. It's also just nice to be able to kill off those weapons. Obviously, most people it's really there just for the free patches draw, and it gives you I turn 1, 1/2, and a 1/1. But yeah, killing off weapons, especially when there's so many rogues, just hitting that second charge of that dagger and forcing them to use 2 more mana can actually be very, very effective. The version I'm running also has things like a Spellbreaker in it and a Darkshire Councilman. And Darkshire
I was going to mention the Councilman, yeah.
Yeah. It's still a really, really strong card because you don't need to buff it to like 5/5. If you just get it to a 2/5 or a 3/5, it gets really, really nice trades.
What's so damn funny now is that I'm using HS Replay. I can tell, Dills, you and I are playing the exact same version of this deck.
Yeah. I'm basically just playing the most winningest version over the last 7 days from HS Replay because that's kind of how I start all my deck lists now. Is I just kind of go there, I see what is working for the most amount of people, and then I generally start to adjust from that point, right? So, like one of the things I could see doing with this list is maybe dropping the Fledgling and going for something a little more consistent. But, maybe even going for the South Sea Captain or the Tar Creeper. Those are 2, obviously, like great ways to, protect your minions a little bit. And the weird thing about this version of Zoo is in the past, it was so built around getting a bunch of small bodies out and then buffing them. And now you are not buffing the bodies anymore. Like, if you Keliseth them, great. But if not, the only real way to buff them is the veteran, right? Like there's nothing else that actually buffs other minions.
Yeah, it's a +1 attack off of a veteran, unless you're running the Darkshire Councilman because of his built-in effect. That's
he buffs himself. But yeah, it's very interesting that we've gone away from running things like Defender of Argus and stuff, right? So. Get the bodies out and then make them more effective. That was always the key to Zoo. And now it feels more like a mid-rangey style deck that then has this finisher in Blood Reaver Gul'dan, and of course also has the ability to tap. So it's a very different style deck than it used to be.
I haven't played
It's kind of, does that speak to power creep in Hearthstone very much? The fact that all of these cards now are kind of, their effects are self-contained as opposed to needing other cards to buff them to make them better?
Possibly. I mean, you do still have Bone Mare. Bone Mare is, I guess, the king of the buff card, but I think it's just the style. But you used to have
the Direwolf and the
the Direwolf Alpha, all that stuff. Yeah, you used to Abusive Sergeant and
you had to rely on drawing other cards to buff what was already on board, and now you just kind of play stuff, and it's like Fledgling that buffs itself when it does something, or Councilman that buffs itself when you play other things. A lot of those
cards got nerfed, right? So now they're not quite as good as they once were. So I think the idea is that you just put the strong bodies, like the most stats for the mana you can. And that's basically kind of what you're getting. Like Serenite Chain Gang is, 4 mana, 4/6 essentially, right? So, it's changed in its style, and it's got a lot more ability to do the Despicable Dreadlord. Obviously allows. It's almost like buffing your minions, right? Because at the end of the turn you deal 1 to everything, so it's almost like you buffed your minions to 1.
It's like debuffing the opponent's board.
Yeah, exactly. It's a different way to kind of do the same thing.
Yeah, well, because of that effect, it's 1 less attack you have to account for on your minions' attack values.
Exactly. Yeah. But I really think that most of this comes down to just the style of Hearthstone now, whereas before Zoo had to be able to bust through like a large minion to get that finishing damage, and now it's a lot more just there's more people playing the tempo style on both sides, so it's more just making these value trades back and forth and kind of slowly edging your way in front of the other guy as far as actual value you've gotten from each card. And then, of course, Blood Reaver Gul'dan just, here's my N'Zoth, essentially, if you will, that just finishes the game. So it's just that I think Hearthstone's in a different place more than, like, those particular cards are in a different place or something.
I would say we missed the obvious answer, which is I don't think it says as much about power creep as it does about Keleseth.
True that, too, yeah. The funny thing is I would argue power creep is the wrong term to use for Hearthstone these days. There's a lot of things that are definitely more powerful. I think early turns have definitely got more powerful. But if you really look at, the fact that like Gnomish Inventor is being played and things like, there's a lot of cards that for a long time people just said like, that's just a crappy card that's not going to see play. We've actually kind of reverse power creeped in certain aspects. So, draw is a lot harder to come by and things like that. So some things have power creeped for sure, but other things have gone the other direction. So we're actually kind of as far as standard is concerned anyway, we're at like a really nice kind of parity moment in Hearthstone, I think, where nothing feels totally broken. Everything just feels kind of fair. There isn't the Dr. Boom of any of these sets anymore.
Yeah.
I miss Dr. Boom.
Well, you can visit Wild. He's still there in all his glory.
I know.
He's actually not even there, man. Nobody plays Dr. Boom in Wild. He's just not good enough. Like the Wild decks are just totally different now. It's so funny.
All right, Dills, you and me against my mid-range paladin. Let's go. It's old school as hell.
All right, cool. I'll just like beat the hell out of you with Naga Sea Witch stuff.
You will. You probably will. Or I'll take one game off of you and feel that was a big enough sample size to claim that Dr. Boom is still good. So, I'm surprised kind of how much I'm enjoying the new Zoo. I remember when Frozen Throne first came out, there was Zoo started to take off a little bit. There was a lot of chatter for the first few days with Keleseth, and it looked cool to me, so I went and crafted him, went and made the Zoo deck, and I just didn't like it, and I've had immediate crafting remorse. But I don't even know really what it is, but I'm thoroughly enjoying this version. I don't know. I blame the Malchezaar Zimp. I like discarding things and drawing cards.
Really, I'm always, and I've had this problem ever since just discard in Warlock was a thing. But I always sit there and I'm just like, I know that even if I have 8 cards in my hand, the thing I'm going to discard is going to be my Blood Reaver Gul'dan. And sure enough, the one time I try to discard, I discard Blood Reaver Gul'dan to the point that I'm actually thinking of taking out my Doom Guards, my Malchezaar's Imp, and my Soulfire because I just never use them because I'm too afraid of discarding the exact thing in my hand I need.
I am finding that I win most of my games before I even play Blood Reaver Gul'dan, so I get excited when he's the card I discard. Because it's like, I didn't need him anyway. I needed literally anything else in my hand. So I find it kind of interesting. And I found this also with the Firefly tokens. Like, there'll be turns where I play a Firefly just to put the token in my hand, and then I'll go and Soulfire to increase my chances of discarding something that's not as impactful as another card.
Yeah. There's definitely ways to play around discard and to maximize the chances that you're going to actually be discarding the thing you don't need.
Yeah.
I just find that, like, if I have 7 cards in my hand I don't need and 1 card that I absolutely have to win the matchup, I lose the one that I absolutely have to win the matchup. It's just always the way the discard. And I know that that's also me just remembering the times when I discarded and it had a terrible outcome because that's just the way the human brain works. But still, that feeling is enough to make me just never, ever play like Doomguard or Soulfire. So I think I'm just going to take that whole discard package out. And I think this also speaks to, what Dills was talking about, albeit for different reasons, but like taking out one part of a deck that a lot of people are like, no, this is the most powerful version. It's like, yeah, but if you're like changing your playstyle or if it's a thing that you do that, like for me, I don't ever discard. So then like I get these discard cards in my hand that I'm too afraid to play, so then it messes with my whole strategy. Like, it's better to kind of build your deck around the way that you play than just playing the quote-unquote most powerful card. So I feel like I need to just take it out and make a Joss Zoo version that doesn't ever discard, because I don't ever discard anyway.
Yeah, go for it. And I know, I mean, I don't know, at the end of the day, with discarding, and you already know this, but in case, I don't know, folks out there are unaccustomed to playing Warlock, like, really, you want to be using cards that discard cards when it's not really that important what it is that you discard. You need to have a backup plan prepare for the worst, and then if the worst doesn't happen, celebrate, basically. But I don't know. It's weird, because you know me, I'm the easiest to tilt son of a bitch out there, and something about discard, I'm just kind of like, it is what it is. And especially when I got my imp out there, like, it doesn't matter. Like, turn 4, you discard my Gul'dan, and I draw something I can actually play within the next, like, 5 turns. Sure. Cause for celebration. But, yeah. I mean, that's the other cool thing with this, right? I mean, that's why I started off with, there are a lot of variations on this deck, because I think you can right now. I think there's room for experimentation with this archetype, and to still be successful, which I always get excited about. It used to be almost exclusively a Reno thing, and that is no longer the case. So get out there and try it if you haven't already. It's not insanely expensive, and if you don't already have Gul'dan and you experience discard anxiety like Jocelyn, it's a reason to just leave him out and see how it goes. So
there's so much discard anxiety.
That might be the title of today's episode. Anywho, before we wrap things up with some emails and tweets from you fine folks, let's thank our patrons supporting us over at patreon.com/TAC, which we, as always, got to thank all of you. It is the best way to support us. It is the number one thing that helps us get paid, helps us do this for a living, and helps this show keep going. This episode, thank you to... I'm going to say Pierre Hughes M, Sam H, Pie, no last name given, N Burst, and Kevin W. Thank you all very much for supporting the show. And if you enjoy the Angry Chicken, we would love it if you go over to patreon.com/TAC and consider becoming a patron yourself. Helps us do things like BlizzCon and Dills get back from places like Vegas. All right, let's take some emails.
Hello.
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
You can send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Tony Says Don't writes in and reads, "Hey, you angry chicken podcast host." Oh, come on, Tony. You can do better than that. I want Beneath the Grounds back in Standard. Now, today. It would be such an elegant counter to the #1 post-nerf meta deck, Razakus Priest, as it not only nullifies the Highlander condition, but it also pukes out the number 4, Priest's least favorite number. The balance here would be that the rogue that would be playing the Beneath the Grounds would have to slow down his tempo to play it. Love it. Do it. Give it to us now. I've always loved the card, but it was not playable until now. Even if Blizzard threw in a Beneath the Grounds type card in the next set, it wouldn't be until the winter expansion, and too late. The rotation will hit soon after. I know. Just play wild. Fine. Yeah, I mean, the lazy answer is go play wild, because you can still play Beneath the Grounds there, but I'm not against what Tony's talking about here. Like, I get it, and this kind of like hammers home how annoyed with the freaking Galactic crawlers of the world I am, because I feel like Beneath the Grounds was a more elegant and cooler solution than here's a crab that destroys the thing and gets even stronger when it destroys it.
You know, I'll say this though. I think Tony might be overestimating how good this card would actually be right now.
Yep.
It's yeah, sometimes you'll face that priest and sometimes you'll turn off their Raza, and that'll be cool when that happens, but also a lot of times you're going to be facing rogue and hunter and zoo and all that, and you're not not going to really do anything with that card. So
that was always kind of the problem with it, right? Like he says he'd always loved the card, but it wasn't playable till now. Like Reno decks were all over the place and super popular. And if Beneath the Grounds didn't see play when Reno decks were super popular, I don't think it's going to see play now. Like even if they were to rotate it back in.
It's probably a better card in Wild right now because there's still Reno Lock. There's also this Reno Priest. So
wasn't Reno Mage a thing too? So
it used to be. I don't know if it still really is,
but not so much in Wild now.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's still out there a little bit. But it's it's too specific of a card to it's like you're like, oh man, if I only could play Beneath the Grounds right now in a game where you're getting beat, but you got to be careful about being results oriented about like one game where it felt like that would have been good. I would like to see them use this type of mechanic more often, though. I like the idea of putting cards into your opponent's deck that do stuff that aren't things like Weasel Tunneler and stuff.
I was just going to say, then Dills, have you heard of Weasel Tunneler?
This was I agree with him that the design of it was kind of an elegant design. You see stuff like this in Magic. You see stuff like this in in other games where you affect the opponent's deck and hand and things like that. So it's fun. Let's see more of it. Instead of moving it back into Standard, let's just print some more cards that do stuff like that.
That's the page I think he's turned me to, which is that I think it's a cool card. I'm not sure I want to get into the discussion of what bringing one card back from Wild in the Standard.
Well, maybe not one card, but just the idea of the movement going both ways.
I don't mind that either. I think around the time of the yearly, like when sets rotate in and out, I would be totally okay if they're like, these cards are rotating to the Hall of Fame and these cards are rotating into the Classic set or something like that. I would not mind that at all because then you don't necessarily have to reprint them, and people who already have them can just be like, oh, cool, I already have them. I don't know. There's probably some difficulties around it too because some people are newer to the game, they don't have them, and now they got to figure out how to get them. So you'd have to give them some avenue for that.
Yeah, that's why I almost like reprints better. It's just like, well, if you already have it, you can use it. Also, there's a chance you'll just crack it in these new packs.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that exact idea before. Like, we reprinted it as a different set of art, same name, everything, same everything else. And then if you already have it, you just use the classic version of it.
Use the one that you have, standard.
And then you can crack it in a pack if you're a new player.
Yeah, absolutely. Ills, who's our second email from?
We got one from Rune who says, "Oh geez, okay."
You can just say hello, angry chickens in Danish.
Kylinger.
Yay!
Hello, angry chickens in Danish. Apparently,
I think you did a solid job.
Background: my last 10 months of ranked on EU server, I've regularly finished rank 5 or higher. I've been playing Hearthstone for 1.5 years. My goal is to someday hit Legend. My best so far is rank 3. I'm a dad, so my time is limited. So you've hit Dad Legend, but I really want to make it. I feel like it is a thing I have to achieve, and then I can take it easy and just play casually. I've read a lot of stuff and know that I have to commit a lot of time into the grind, and of course I have to have the required skills. My question is, if I choose to go for it this month, should I go Standard or Wild? I'm hoping that Dills can share his experience of the two different 5 to Legend metas. Is one of the 5 to Legend metas harder than the other? Should I practice with decks this month and make a push in November? I would say it's harder in Wild because there's just more possible decks that you're going to be playing against. That being said, if there is a agreed upon best deck in Wild, it's probably really friggin' good and broken. I just think right now in Wild, we're not really seeing that. There isn't some one version of a deck, and especially now, it would have been Pirate Warrior before the nerf, but now with the nerf that has happened recently, Wild meta is kind of all over the place, so it's really hard to predict and harder to probably put together a consistent push. So if I were to give you a piece of advice on one or the other, I would say probably go for Standard for right now. It's a little bit more of a predictable meta. You'll know kind of what you're playing against, and I think the thing that you really got to concentrate on is pick a deck that you like and know how to play, and just put in the amount of games every day. And if you start on day one and you get your 15 games a day in, and you don't miss any days, you could hit Legend. It won't even be like a stressful situation if you're actually getting a decent win rate. You'll hit it comfortably. Like it's just getting those games in every day, and that can be difficult, especially if you are a dad with a job and all the
I'm not
responsibilities
even a dad, and getting the consistent 15 games a day was tough.
Very difficult. Yeah,
Yeah.
even for people like us who essentially this is our job. It's there's things come up and days are filled with other things, and 15 games is probably around an hour and a half to 2 hours, really, if we're being honest. So
Yeah.
putting
Depending,
that in
yeah,
every
depending
single
on
day.
the deck you play. But yeah, if you're looking at 5 to 7 minutes per game, which I think is pretty average for a Hearthstone game, where you don't get an instant concede or something, then yeah, you're looking at quite a lot, about an hour and a half to 2 hours if you want to get your full 15. So can take a while, and I think it takes a little bit longer too. Weren't you saying that in when you're playing like the rank 5 to legend over on Wild? Sometimes the queues are a bit longer. I mean, not so much that it would
the
really
queues slow
make
down,
a big difference.
and you also get counter queued in Wild because there's less players. So when people play you, as soon as the game is over, they will switch to a deck that they believe will beat your deck, and then insta queue and try to get back to you, so that then they can beat you more heavily the next time they play you. Because it's more common in Wild Ladder to play the same guy 3 or 4 times, sometimes even in a row. You're just both queuing into each other at the same or similar rank, and there's not as many people around you, so you just end up hitting each other again pretty often. So
yeah, there's also time,
definitely
time of day
Standard is going to be your best bet for right now. And depending on look, it's the 3rd right now. If you're anywhere around like rank 15-ish, you've got plenty of time, right? So you can start right now. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm like rank 14 or something right now after playing just one day or something.
Yeah, I hit
If I start doing 15 games a day right now, I can reliably feel like I'll hit Legend. So
I hit 15 just before the show with that Zoolock. Not the one we showed, the one with the Flappy Bird and
Fledgling.
Sure.
whatnot.
And the thing is, like, the other thing that you got to remember too when you're making this push is don't, like, at the end of your 15 game session, and sometimes you can go a few more if you're feeling like you're still playing good and things like that. You can dip a little extra in there.
I usually do 15, and then if I have a win streak going, I play until I lose my streak.
Yeah, you just like keep
just
because
I'm in the zone. Yeah.
But the reason why I felt like 15 was so good is it's not an amount that's going to burn you out, and then it's an amount that will give you a winning or losing record at the end of the session always because it's an odd number. But what you want to do is like look at your stats at the end, and then don't necessarily make some huge sweeping decision, but just kind of pay attention to where you are. Because I had so many like the seasons where I've hit Legend. I've had plenty of 8 and 7 sessions. I've had plenty of 6 and 9 sessions where I actually like lost a little bit of rank during that. But then I also would have 12 and 3, 13 and 2, and you can't really get super down on it on one day. The meta will shift a little on the next day. The important thing is that you're just kind of monitoring how you're doing, how your deck is doing, so you can see, are there certain classes causing you problems? Is there tech choices that can be made to shore up those matchups? That kind of stuff, that's really what you want to be looking at, not necessarily, oh, I had a losing session today with this deck, I'm not going to play this deck tomorrow. It's more to like find the subtleties.
Yeah, I usually look at how I did in the day, and then I look at the month as a whole, and then like make sure that I'm still, even though if I had a losing day, like I'm just like, okay, but on the whole for the month, I'm still at 65%. I might have been at 40% today, but it's okay because overall I'm still having a positive win rate going. So yeah, that's how I kind of look at it. See what happened to me today, see what's happened to me over the course of the month, and like, do I need to kind of course correct, or was it just a bad day? Was I not in the right headspace?
Download Deck Tracker and swap your stats to this season.
Yep.
So you get a
I use this season and I use today all the time. Those are the two that I kind of look at all the time.
Back and forth constantly. All right, and then we've got some quick fires off of Twitter, back to back to back. We'll do our best not to make 3-paragraph responses from all three of us to each and every one of these. Joss, what are we starting with?
All right. Our first Twitter question comes in from Justin. Fight to the death, all classic legendary. Who wins? Dills.
One card.
Oh, well, it's Deathwing.
Interesting. I was going to say Tyrion. Garrett?
Tyrion. So Joss and I are right because it's a voting system that we didn't let Dills know about.
I mean, look, if Tyrion's on the board and Deathwing hits, he wins.
That is true,
but if Deathwing's already on the board and Tyrion's on the board, then they tie. So I think Deathwing wins.
Fair enough.
But
Ashbringer... Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
What?
I'm breaking my own rule. Go.
Oh, Kelnorum says, how do I start liking the game again? I have a big collection up to TGT and 7K dust, but no interest in playing. I play HOTS.
You don't have to play this game. It's totally fine if you don't like it.
But I think if he has a big collection up till TGT and 7K Dust, I would say that he was very into the game at some point, and I think that this is probably a good time to come back to it.
It is a good time to come back to it, but the with 7K Dust and a collection of the TGT, which is rotated out of standard, the best time to come back might actually be the next expansion when it rotates, right? Or not the next, but the next, right? It's kind of up to you.
In the spring next year,
Yeah, it's kind of up to you if you feel like, because you're going to have some catching up to do now. The least amount of catching up you will ever have is the year-long rotation, right? So here's the other thing, too. Try just playing like an arena run every now and then. Just do that. Don't worry about playing all the time. Just every now and then, play an arena run, open that pack, shut the game down, go back to HOTS.
Yeah, you're on equal footing.
Yep.
What I was going to say is that now is actually a pretty good time because we did just have those nerfs. So regardless of what class you like to play, there's probably a deck that with your 7K Dust you'll be able to build make you viable in Standard. So we actually have a very diverse meta right now if you're interested in coming back. So.
Yep. And besides telling you don't have to play it, find a deck that you think you'll like and craft it. Play that.
Yeah, I have my free-to-play accounts, and I'm able to get my quest done every day, like pretty easily. So just log in, do an arena run, get your quest done, log back out. Don't worry about trying to dive back in headlong.
Yep. All right, next one.
Next one comes from Jared. Says, what does Team 5 need to do with Tavern Brawl to offer more intrigue to every player? It's super casual at the moment outside of heroic Tavern Brawl, obviously. What do you guys think they could do to fix Tavern Brawl?
Nothing. That's the point.
Yeah, it's doing what it needs to do. I think what they should do, though, is they should stop cleaning up the tavern in between and just have it just be open to players all the time. Because my buddy Ty, who was kind of getting into Hearthstone, he logs in sometimes and he's like, why can't I play Tavern Brawl today? He loves to play Tavern Brawl because he doesn't have a bunch of cards. And I think we don't know all these people, but there's a ton of people who that's their experience of Hearthstone. They log in on their phone, they play Tavern Brawl. When they're on the train to work on a Monday and they can't play the Tavern Brawl, they probably just don't play Hearthstone, right? So let them just play the Tavern Brawl all the time.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. I mean, even with a changing set of rules, I don't really understand the kind of shortened week that Tavern Brawl exists in.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
There's some sort of reason for it.
I'm sure there's some sort of reason, but it's I don't know. Just patch your shit.
Also, Dills, you just made me like super depressed with the scenario I never considered, which is if my reality was Hearthstone to me is Tavern Brawl, that would make Monday infinitely worse than Monday already is.
Sure, right? Monday totally sucks when you can't play Tavern Brawl.
Oh man, I gotta go back to work after the weekend and I can't play Tavern Brawl?
Yeah.
The worst. All right, next one.
Next one comes from Antonio. It says, synergy picks are going away soon. Do you have any closing thoughts on the past months in Arena? My best draft was first and second pick Kazakis.
Dills?
Arena has really sucked because of the synergy picks, and I cannot wait for them to go away. It's still fun as like a passing thing, but I've had months where I've focused on Arena and had a really good time, and since the synergy picks were introduced, I think the last Arena run I did was a Hunter run when I was at the airport on my way to Vegas. And,
yeah, didn't you go 12 wins?
And I know I got 11.
Oh, okay.
I got owned by like the greatest deck of all time at 12. But but it was interesting. But then when I was done, I had no like want or need to click the button again and go again. And there's been times where as soon as I'm done with an Arena run, I just want to go again. And that is not how it feels right now. So, and I'll say this too. I was playing some Eternal the other night drafting. And my God, like their limited formats are so much better than Hearthstone. Hearthstone, you can do it. You can do it. I know you can.
We believe in you.
Yeah.
Max writes in and says, can we get an update on the next taco?
Yeah, it should be. The way it's looking is we're either going to do it in early November or late October. It's kind of, we've reached that point, right? I didn't want to do it during the heavy Druid days of the early Knights of the Frozen Throne. But the game seems to be in a really good spot right now, and it feels like it's about time to bring it back. And I have some ideas as far as formatting is concerned. I kind of want to see how they play out in the DHL, because the bring 5 decks, play each deck only once, win or lose thing was pretty fun to watch in the HGG stuff. So we're trying it out in the DHL, and if it actually seems to work pretty cool, maybe we'll see if people want to do that. I'll maybe like do a little poll or something like that.
Yeah,
see if
always,
people are interested in trying something different.
Always poll the patrons. Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is going to be before or after BlizzCon. That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So because it's that crunch time.
Yes. Last question comes to us from Kenny. Says, I'm trying hard to be a nice guy, but lately everyone else is being a dick. Any strategies for not letting BM get you down or rally you up?
If you're letting BM and Hearthstone rile you up, do you play any other video games? Because it's the most like passive BM of any competitive game, because they literally cannot talk to you unless you give them the permission to.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, there's always, every time you go into a match, you can squelch somebody, but then they can still, do ridiculous things with their cards or rope you every turn that can get frustrating. But what I am trying to do, because I am in the same sort of headspace, like I let BM get to me so much, and it's bad for you, right? It's bad for your like level of play, because if you just get thrown off your game if you're worried too much about them being a jerk. So I try to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I squelch obviously, but I can just sit there and go, okay, they're probably roping me because they're having a hard time playing their deck. Maybe it's really, there's a lot of different options, and like they need the time to think, and so I'm just going to give it to them.
Yeah,
I look at it as me being nice by giving them the time instead of them being a jerk by roping me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Every now and then, like it goes to rope, and then Leroy comes down, and I'm like, you're a jackass. But I don't know. Other times too, like I have played unoptimally to finish play X amount of Demon's Quest. I could have.
There's that too. Yeah, the fact that quests are in the game does sometimes change the way that people play, which is also why I don't tend to concede when they have lethal. I let them play out their cards, so I'm just like, all right, yeah, maybe dude has a quest. Then you're being the super nice guy.
Yeah, take the high road. Even though Jocelyn's crazy, I would never do that. If I'm gonna lose, I just leave and queue up next, because time is money, friend.
So the other thing too, like I'll do this sometimes when I'm playing on my iPad or something. If somebody's being kind of douchey, or they're like roping a lot, or they're constantly emoting me, I'll just kind of like put my iPad down for my turn, just not even pay attention, and just wait until I hear the kind of like swoosh, like it's my turn again. And then I just play, and then I put it down again.
That's true. Yeah, just tab out.
You
literally just don't even pay attention to what they're doing.
You literally create a void for them to scream into. I like that. I like that strategy.
They're emoting the hell out of me, and I'm not even noticing it. So like, whatever. By the way, just real quick, somebody on the chat just said, I would love to enter Taco, but I play on EU. Wouldn't it be cool if there was a tournament mode where you could just let people play from whatever server they're on, and just like you enter and they're all just in a tournament kind of server, and it doesn't matter which server they started in?
Awesome. You're tilting me super hard, because outside of tournament mode, region locking and the way it affects all of the Blizzard games is one of my biggest complaints about Blizzard Entertainment as a whole.
Sure. Yeah. It's kind of unnecessary at this point.
Yep.
In a global world, a global economy, and especially as like a lot of global friendships. It's very frustrating when people are divided up and can't, like there's a barrier in between us. It sucks.
Yeah, it's obnoxious. I want to play with Patrick from France, man. He probably still has the same Druid deck from Nertacular 3 years ago. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thanks again to our patrons over at patreon.com/TAC. Thank you to our producers, Declan H., Peter Williams, Michael N., Sean C., and Johnny S. You guys are awesome. Check out more of The Angry Chicken over at amove.tv or youtube.com/amovetv. You can see all the back catalog. You can go back to that episode 5 we were talking about that has no video, but listen to... not Jocelyn, but Dills and
Not
Scott
me.
Johnson talk about very, very early on Hearthstone announcements at BlizzCon. You can catch us live usually Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/amovetv. If we change the time, TAC Podcast on Twitter is a great account to follow to know about time changes. Hey, Dills, you do other things. Where can people find those other things?
Basically, the best thing to do is follow me on Twitter at Willie Dills and check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Willie Dills. Check out the wrestling podcast I do with Justin Robert Young on Monday evenings now. We're going to do it where it's going to transition directly into my stream. So, yeah, we'll do the podcast and then we'll immediately do some co-oping of some Hearthstones right afterwards. So, Mondays, 5 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Pacific. 4 p.m. Eastern, whatever. You can do all that stuff on your own. But yeah, check that out. 1-900 Wrestling. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome, Jocelyn. How about yourself?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joss Plays. That's JOCE Plays. You can also go to jossplays.com for links to everything else I do.
Every podcast I do is already on the already mentioned amove.tv. I'll say already a few more times already. And you can follow me on Twitter at Garrett Art. There's plenty of shows to follow. Check out Into the Nexus for Heroes of the Storm. Check out Embrace of Spoilers where Joss and I spoil things. We just put up an episode for Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. It was interesting. It was worse and better than I remembered.
All at the same time.
Yeah, go and check that out. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. Thanks again for listening. And until next time, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!